This is Pin Flair with another episode of Meals in Pajamas. So today I am embracing my inner Tiana. We're gonna go into Tiana's palace and cook a gumbo. So follow me and I'll tell you all the things that go in it, South Louisiana style. All right, so we are making a seafood gumbo today. So we have some shrimp, some fresh Louisiana shrimp, some crab that's already been boiled in crab oil. Trust me, this is the difference. Some sausage. Now I did cut and prepare because making a gumbo is a long process. So I did all my cutting and seasoning. So we're really just making roux and throwing everything in today. But I have some sausage. I have Billy sausage and then Savoy andouille sausage and Savoy regular sausage. So all these different sausages are going to add to the mix to make the gumbo taste really good. I have some pre-cut, cubed, and seasoned chicken thighs, and then a mix of celery, onions, bell pepper, and green onion in this pot. We have flour, all-purpose, and then our pot for our roux. We're going to cook our roux in this pot, and then our gumbo pot here. It's not as big as I would like, but it's a 14-quart pot. So that is what we're going to be making our gumbo in. And then some okra, frozen okra that we're going to put into the oven. The oven is already preheating at 450. We're going to put these in and honestly forget about them, but this is to cook the slime out. This is an important step. Okra in gumbo is very essential to me. It gives it a good taste. Not everybody uses it, but this is one of those differences between Creole and Cajun that I was telling y'all about. For our spices, we're going to use paprika, sage, thyme, parsley, Tony's, garlic powder, onion powder. And then also this is some Louisiana crab oil, the dry. I'm going to season my shrimp with some of this. This also makes a difference. To have your gumbo have a slight hit of spice to it, not much, so you got to be careful. So let's go ahead and put this in the oven. That's the first step, honestly. You put your okra in the oven and let the slime cook out of it. All right, so the labor of love is actually the roux. So to make this roux, you just need oil and flour. But this is the most important part of the gumbo process. You need a good amount. So you start off with like 1/4 of a cup of oil in your pot just to coat the bottom. All right? And set that aside, but keep your oil on hand. Make your oil, your 1/4 of a cup of oil, coat the bottom of your pot. Have your stove on medium high and get you a cup of flour. So for the 14-quart pot, I start with a cup of flour because you can always add if you think you're going to need a little bit more. But doing a cup at a time is really going to help out, right? So what you're doing is you're cooking this flour, coating the flour with oil, and stirring it on the fire until it browns. This is making a roux. I'm going to go ahead and add oil because I don't want to mess it up. I've scared myself. So we're going to just add oil to make this look how I normally have it. So then that's maybe a cup. Yeah, so I like it to have this consistency here to where not everything is kind of gelling together. And spreading out into this like paste-like consistency. It's starting to get color to it. It's not white anymore, but it's by no means ready. But I wanted to show you at this point, this is the point that I add a little bit more flour. So I start off, and that's key, to start off with a cup of flour and get that toasted, right? So you can kind of control the stirring and the base, but you want to keep stirring and see, you know, how it's coming out. And then you add oil, you add flour until you have the amount that you need. Took 7 minutes just to get to this point of stirring over heat. And this is not the color we needed. We needed a dark brown, like a chocolate color brown, so that it ends up being the right color. But at this point, I am going to add some flour. So probably about half a cup more of flour, right? And we're just going to turn that in. It helps with the cooking process because that new flour is going to gel with that already colored flour. And then we're going to add more oil so we can smooth that on out. But as you stir, the oil is going to dissipate and you're going to get this type of consistency with your roux. And this is the type of consistency that you kind of want. It makes it easier to stir to ensure that you're not going to burn. So we probably have another 7 or 8 minutes of stirring on this pot till we get it the color brown we need. So okay, this is nearly the color that it needs to be. If you're looking at it, it is a dark brown. You want a dark brown roux, and honestly, your gumbo is not going to come out this brown. Once you start adding your water, that it's going to lighten a little bit. So this is the color that you about wanted. So once it gets this, I have to just get it off my burner. Okay, thank you. So once it gets to be about this color, you can go ahead and transfer it into your stock pot. And that's going to stop kind of the cooking process. Yeah. So we're going to transfer it into the stock pot to stop that cooking process, because we do not want it to burn. Right? Only water. And you see how hot it is? And that's mainly just to slow down that cooking process of that roux. Like half of them. And stir that on, cutting back on the heat to high, right, with water. So what that does, and the reason why we're adding about half those vegetables in now, is you still have your mostly roux mix, and that those vegetables are going to kind of cook down into that roux first. And it's really going to give it what it needs. Stir that those vegetables in with that roux, and the roux is like, it's loosened into those 8 cups of water, but it's cooking down the vegetables. The vegetables are boiling down under those with just the roux and the vegetables for now. We're gonna use a high heat here as well, and some oil. Coating the bottom pan with oil once again, and get it brown. So this is about half of it. This is looking about how I want it to be. Like I said, just a little browning on the chicken. I don't want it too hard for my gumbo, but just to give it a little. Then we're going to throw this into the pot. Alright, so we added our chicken, half of our chicken to the pot. We're going to put the pot to the side for a little bit because we're going to come back to that. We're going to add half of our sausage. And I also added 4 more cups of water to the roux. And we're still letting that cook down. So now these are the flavors. The chicken and the sausage, the seasoned chicken and the sausage is way, and those onions are where. Alright, so this is how the gumbo is looking in this pot. It is looking divine. And like I said, if you just want a chicken and sausage gumbo, you're really done here. All you need to do is let this cook. Add about 8 more cups of water. Put in your dry seasonings and let that cook for about an hour or 2. But I want a seafood gumbo, so I'm going to continue on. Alright, so we're going to add the dry seasonings now. Starting with paprika. And it really doesn't matter which order you put this in, just so long as you put it in. So we just, coating the top real good with the dry seasonings. Alright, onion powder. Next, onion powder. A little sage. Alright, now this one, not a lot. You don't want it over sagey, just a little bit, just a little shake. Thyme. Put a little thyme in there. Good little shake of thyme. Parsley. Tony's. And you don't need a lot of Tony's either for like, oh, you thinking, oh, I have a whole bunch of water. No, this is like most of your flavor is already in this pot from the meat. And then lastly, some garlic powder. Alright, so we're going to stir that on in. It's actually boiling, so I like to do that when it starts to boil. So it just kind of envelops it itself. You just scrape the bottom and put it all up. I need to give me a longer spoon. Alright, so now this first phase is done. So all of the meat flavors are in the pot already. This is going to cook for about an hour. And then I'm going to go in and add my shrimp. Alright, so while my gumbo is cooking, that's actually going to cook for about an hour. I'm going to go ahead and season my shrimp with some Tony's. And this is the key ingredient. But you gotta be very careful or you're gonna make this very spicy. Now for the most part, y'all saw that I do not measure, but this I will measure 1/4 of a teaspoon because my husband can't take too much spice. So we're gonna do 1/4 of a teaspoon and then just spray that all across that shrimp and then massage it in. Now that is crab boil. The reason why we're doing so little is because it's already in the crab. Like I said, I got a boiled crab that was then frozen for gumbo crab. And that's a shop, a fish market in a seafood boil place that does that, prepares that for you already. And all you have to do is buy the frozen bag. Well, I got that from them. So I'm already going to have a little taste of that with those crab. This is going to add a tiny taste of it in the shrimp. And then that's all I need for my gumbo for my family. Now, if my husband wasn't adverse to spice, I would add a little bit more because I like this flavor a lot. But I don't want to make it too spicy for him. So it's a minimal spice. So my gumbo has been cooking now for an hour with just the chicken and sausage. So it is time to throw in the shrimp and the crab. And we're going to let all of that cook for another 20 to 30 minutes and it will all be done.